Welcome back to the Greens and Scenes podcast. It is the weekend and the weather is nice.
The weather is okay. The weather is nice might be a little bit of a stretch.
It's warm and it's a lot warmer than it has been.
This is true. You can't ask for so much in Scotland when it comes to the weather. But we got out and we played golf today. If you guys are listening to this, you'll be listening to it when it first comes out on Sunday or any day of the week, really. But we're releasing it on Sunday. Today is Saturday. We played some golf today.
We did, and we played well. We played some really good golf today. We played the Jubilee Golf Course in St Andrews, and both of us broke par for the first time in quite a while.
And we still got beaten by our friend Scott. Well done, Scott. Well done. Well done.
He played some very, very good golf.
He did.
Beat us both. But we had a really enjoyable game. There wasn't too much wind. It was foggy. It was a little bit misty. We couldn't get the lasers working. And
it worked.
We made it work.
It's all good. And now, if you're watching this podcast, you may notice some artwork here. You may notice this fantastic... If you're listening to the podcast, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you might want to consider heading over to the YouTube channel for this one because we've spoken on here before. I hope you can see that from the way that the light's reflecting off it. We've spoken about getting some artwork. We've spoken about getting a sign. We might get a sign at some point, but for the minute, we've got this little caricature of Ken.
I was going to say, if you are listening, I was going to describe what we've got on the wall here. Basically, it's just my face with a big chin. And a little body playing golf. And it was one of my colleagues at work who came up to me and said, "Would you like me to draw you?" And I said, "Of course. I would love to be drawn. I've never been drawn before in my life. I do like golf, so maybe bear that in mind when you're drawing me." And he did. And he did a fantastic job. Greg did a wonderful job at drawing me, my little golfer body there. And yeah, very grateful that that is kind of our first little background piece for the podcast.
Fantastic. Yeah. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've got any more suggestions. I know a sign, a CG Golfs or Greens and Scenes podcast sign was suggested. We're looking into it. Signs do cost money. This was lovely and free. So this is where we're at the minute.
It was, but I think it's a really cool addition and it gives us, I feel like it's very authentic. It's very us.
Anyways, we have done the cardinal sin of YouTube there because you're meant to explain what you're going to talk about. But if you've come across our podcast, you'll just know that we like to chat. We like to chat anything about golf, but we are going to focus on one specific topic here. Now, when we first launched this podcast, we said to you guys, we want to know your questions. We want to know what you want us to talk about. And this is kind of inspired from some of the questions, but more the type of questions that we get direct. So probably not a week goes by that somebody doesn't message me and says, "Hey, I'm coming up to St Andrews. Like, I'm going to enter the ballot, but if I don't get into the ballot, like, which golf course should I go and play?"
I feel like everyone who comes to visit St Andrews has one course in their mind when they come here. It's obviously the old course. Yeah. And I feel like it's great to go and play there, but if you don't get a tee time on the old course, there's so many good backup courses. And actually, we have 10 in total that I think we're going to discuss today.
Yes.
And they're all within probably 2 or 3 miles of St Andrews, which is amazing. We have such a cool, big concentration worth of golf. And it's important to know about each individual course so that you can make a really informed decision when you're coming to visit here.
I agree. And I would say, I know why you said backup courses there, but I just want to emphasize the fact that these are golf courses in their own rights. Like, they shouldn't be seen as backup courses. I know they are because people come to St Andrews and they want to play the old course, but there are some really good golf courses out of there. And we're going to chat through each of the golf courses that are in St Andrews, like Cam says, in that little radius of the town. There's a reason to play every single one of them. We're going to talk through why you should play them, why you should consider playing them, and just kind of like our thoughts on them. And basically just putting into words, anytime someone messages me asking which golf course should we play, obviously we give our thoughts, but we just thought we'd put it together. If this is your first time coming across us, hi, we're Cam and G. We live in St Andrews. We've lived here for the past 7-ish years. We play a lot of golf. We talk about a lot of golf. We make videos about playing golf. We like golf. So we're going to talk you through the 10 courses, because we're doing all the St Andrews ones today.
Where do we want to start?
I know where we start. We start with the Balgove.
The best one.
The Balgove. So first of all, if you are a links ticket holder, if you're a St Andrews resident and you have the St Andrews links ticket, you get access to 7 courses, which is why I accidentally said 7 there. However, there's 3 more courses that are not classed as the St Andrews courses, but still kind of have like St Andrews in the name. They're just not St Andrews links courses.
Exactly. So are we starting with the Balgove? We'll chat through a little bit about what to expect if you were to come and play the Balgove.
I'll get the green fees up as well.
Perfect.
You give us a little give us a little indication of the Balgove.
So the Balgove essentially is a 9-hole course targeting probably the beginner type golfer.
Yeah.
If you're newer to golf, or if you're traveling maybe with a partner who's newer to golf, I would say the Balgove would be absolutely perfect. But equally, myself and G go and play the Balgove so much because it's brilliant for your short game. Now, it's a par 3 course with 3 par 4s. One par 4 is about 300 yards, and then the first 2 par 4s, which are the first and the second hole, are around about 200. So
they're par 3. We play them as par 3s, don't we?
We play them as par 3s, but on the scorecard, they're par 4s. So it comes out to a par 30. Actually, it's a really, really nice golf course.
You're being very statistics heavy and very data heavy on the explanation there, but that was good. It was good.
Good.
It's a little fun 9-hole golf course. If you were coming to St Andrews and you wanted to play a 9-hole golf course, I would say go play Anstruther. We've done an audio podcast all about Anstruther. We've put a video up about Anstruther, so you could go watch that. The Balgove, I wouldn't come to St Andrews to play the Balgove.
I wouldn't either. It's kind of a perfect course maybe for a warm-up if you're playing one of the other 18-holers that we're going to discuss later.
And it sits by the driving range. So in my mind, it's kind of like, it's not a pitch and putt, but it's kind of like the practice ground golf course.
That's exactly it. It's a practice course, but the greens are up to the standard of the other golf courses in town, which is really good. It's always in lovely condition. We tend to play it more during the winter because it's never on mats. 12 months throughout the year, it's always on grass, which is a real bonus because if you live around here, you'll be used to playing mats. We've discussed that in one of our other podcasts, and actually playing off of the grass is really good for us. So we tend to go in the winter and play the Balgove.
Yeah, we won't keep going on about the Balgove because I know that nobody's really interested in the Balgove. But basically, if you're going to play it in the off season, anytime between October to middle of April, you're paying £8. If you're going to play it in high season, you're paying 15. So definitely the more budget-friendly option. The Balgove, the main thing I would say about the Balgove is if you are coming to St Andrews on a golf trip and you've got a partner or a family member or a friend who is coming and they kind of like golf, they kind of like to play it at the range, they're not really a on the golf course person yet, it's a really nice friendly golf course for that. You will see a lot of beginners going out onto the Balgove, and so that's what it's perfect for, you know. On to the next golf course. I think the Strath is a nice one to kind of move on.
Yes,
to.
I agree. It's right next to the Balgove.
Yes.
And it is also a short golf course, but it's 18 holes. It has par 5s, par 4s, par 3s, much like every other golf course that is 18 holes.
Well done, Cam.
Very good. It's a par 69, I believe. It is a par 69. And
course rating is closer to about 66, 65, something like that. It's an easy golf course because there's very few hazards. There's no water. There's very few bunkers. Every hole is laid out in front of you. Some very short par 4s, some drivable par 4s, 2 par 5s.
There are a couple of, there's 2 par 5s, one on the front 9, one on the back 9, but there are quite a few par 3s on that course.
But there's nothing really to like catch you out, which is what's nice about it.
Yeah, the thing that gets me in the summer is they grow the rough up in Strath. Yeah. And it can be a little bit difficult, but it is probably, again, targeted at kind of your more beginner style of golfer, again. And it's kind of easily playable for all ages, all handicaps, that kind of thing. So.
It's also quick, usually, which is nice. It's kind of the course that we would go and play 9 holes on if we maybe had like just over an hour. You could get through that. It's a really nice golf course. I actually think it's like my mum's favourite St Andrews golf course because, you know, you could have this opinion of St Andrews, and I would completely get it, that it's elite and it's, you know, exclusive and you've got to be a fantastic golfer to come and play in St Andrews. One of the best things about St Andrews, I would say, is that there is something for everybody. Like, you've obviously got like the Himalayas, the putting green. Like, if you've got 0 golfing people in your group that are coming to visit, you can just go and do the putting green. That's really fun. But then you've got stepping stones that really nicely, gently kind of bring you in. Obviously starting off at the Balgove, and then as you get a little bit better, you can go onto the Strath. I really enjoy the Strath. It's the golf course that I like to go to if I've had a bad round and I really need to kind of find the love and the enjoyment for golf again, because it's easier to score well. It's difficult for us because we would have to shoot like 7, 8 under to actually technically have shot under par on that golf course because the course rating's so low. But it's a really nice, fun one. The green fees.
Okay.
I think it's like an accessible one in that, like, if you just want to say that you've played golf in St Andrews, this will be the cheapest 18-hole golf course. It's still £55 in summer, which it is a lot, but it's a nice, fun, good condition 18-hole golf course. But you're not going to have like the challenge there. So it depends what you want.
Yeah, it depends what you want. It's a nice kind of short links golf course, easily accessible, and I think for £55 in the middle of summer, I would say that is pretty good value. It's decent value.
If you're someone who wants to go to a golf course that has loads of character, loads of interesting holes, like a bit of a challenge, lots of hazards to kind of navigate, some cool views, then it's not a £55 golf course for that.
No.
Because the comparison, I guess, that we could take straight away would be like Dunaverty was about the same green fee. They are 2 completely different golf courses, but you could go to Dunaverty. I love Dunaverty. You could go to Dunaverty and hit it well, but then still struggle because it's a challenge. Whereas what is great about the Strath is that it's nice and fun, and it's really just like, it's the type of golf course that you go, you put a podcast on, you put us on, you listen to us when you're playing the Strath, or you listen to some music and you just go and have a nice fun golf round. And it goes down to like £25 in the low season.
I think £25 during the winter is very good because we've been playing there a little bit recently, and actually the condition of it has been pretty good, and the greens are all nice, and it's links greens. So if you were someone who maybe plays parkland golf and is maybe not used to having greens that are in great condition during the winter, the Strath might actually be pretty good value at £25 to go and play full summer greens, and they are normally in very good condition.
I agree. So just staying in the same kind of area of ground, you've also got the Eden course. So the Eden and the Strath play kind of right next to each other. The first hole on both greens are right next to each other. You sign in the same place. Now, yeah, see, I think that's interesting with the green fees. So for the Eden course, you're going to be paying £75 in the middle of summer, £35 in low season. I would say that just in terms of like character and having more interesting holes and a little bit more to think about, I think the £75 for the Eden is better than the £55 on the Strath. But then there's more chance of you scoring worse on the Eden. So it depends what you want from your golf round, you know?
I completely agree. I think £75, that's actually surprised me as to how good value that actually is, because the Strath kind of runs here, the Eden runs next to it, and then right next to the Eden is some of the old course back nine. Yeah. And so actually you get very good views and a very good perspective from the first few holes on the Eden course over onto the old course. And I think that really adds a value to it, because if you were someone, say on your first day of a golf trip, you arrive in St Andrews and you're looking for somewhere to go and play, maybe as like a bit of a warm-up round before you were potentially going to play the old course or something like that, or you couldn't get a tee time on the old course but you still wanted to, you know, say you've been there, seen it, the Eden is perfect because you get to run alongside the wall, and it's a lot of the nice holes that are down the stretch on the old course.
It's like a nice little teaser. There's definitely other courses that do run around the old course as well, which we'll talk about. But yeah, the Eden's an interesting one. I like the Eden because it has a really nice 9-hole loop, which obviously we can utilise being links ticket holders. You probably wouldn't want to pay your full green fee and then come off after 9. The Eden is a weird one because you play links golf and then you're suddenly on like a parkland course for like 2 holes and then you play links golf again.
There are an odd 2 holes that kind of stick out in your mind. So it's the 14th and the 15th hole that are right over at the far end of the course, actually towards the edge of the Strathtyrum as well. And there are a couple of strange holes that have they almost seem like they've just been added on. And it's a bit of a shame because the rest of the golf course is so good, has so much character to it. And I think those 2 holes are they're a bit out of place. They're not bad holes.
That's what I was about to say. They're not bad. They just don't feel like they fit there.
Exactly. It's like when you think about the front 9 on Eden, to me, it's all about big slopey greens, risk-reward shots. Like that's what the Eden course is about. And then you go to that part and it's 2 very flat holes with kind of water in the middle of them. And it just feels out of place.
It's the water and the trees. Because you've got trees like guarding it. It's just a little bit odd. They're not bad holes. They're not bad holes. They just don't feel like they fit the rest of the golf course. I don't know.
There's also one hole, the 17th hole on the Eden course, which is kind of like, it plays almost the same as the road hole on the old course. And there's a lot of similarities in it because you got out of bounds all the way down the right-hand side.
You just don't have a massive hotel.
There's no massive hotel that you can hit, which is a good thing. But it's almost like a replica of the 17th on the old course, which I think is really, really cool.
You get some really nice views from the Eden as well. So the 4th hole, you play up against the estuary. Like the estuary is the out of bounds. It comes really close in. And then there's some like quirky things to it. So the tees kind of cross over between like the 5th and the 8th, the 2 par 3s. Really easy if you play there and you haven't played there before, it would be super, super easy to confuse which green you're going to. I've played a lot on the Eden. And I really enjoy my rounds there.
I played a lot of competitive rounds as well in the Eden. Like a lot of our uni matches used to be on there. It's a great course for match play. I played the St Andrews Links Junior Open when I was growing up, and that was always the qualifying rounds were on the Eden, and then it moved to match play on the old course. So it's like a really good course, I think, for like medal play, match play. Like there's a lot of risk and reward holes, piles of character, as you've said, and some really, really cool views. And I think £75 in the summer is really, really good value for money for that.
We just have, there's just so much choice in St Andrews.
We're very lucky and we're very, very spoiled. We've only chatted about 3 courses so far. We've got 7 to go.
Well, because I was literally just, as we were talking about the Eden, I was like, we've only filmed on the Eden once when we did the 72-hole challenge. So that hasn't really featured on the channel. And it really should, because it's a fun golf course. And actually, like you said, they really like to utilize the Eden for competitions. So if there's like open competitions, very often it's like the Eden and another one of the courses, or the Strath and another one of the courses. They like to use the Strath for like maybe some of the bigger junior events, and then the Eden for like...
Yeah, I definitely used to play like schools events on the Strath and the Eden. And I think before I moved to St Andrews a while ago, really the only courses that I'd played in St Andrews were the Strath and the Eden, because that's where most of the school level events were, or like the junior events were. So both really good golf courses, and yeah, really nothing too bad to say about either of them.
Also, just want to point in at this point, we're not ranking these. We're not discussing them in order of like our favorites necessarily. We're just going to discuss them in the order that we expect people assume the order is going to be, if that makes sense. So by no means am I saying that like the Eden is, you know, what would that be, the 8th out of the 10 courses. It's just, I think that's where people would assume we would place the Eden in the lineup. So we're kind of just going to talk about it that way. And it's almost like increasing with green fees, basically, that we're going to...
Yeah. Also, the thing is, like, all of these golf courses are good as well. Yeah. And they're all at different price points. So, like, we're probably going from cheapest to most expensive almost in this kind of not rankings, but in this chat, we're just going to almost chat about them in terms of smallest green fee to the biggest green fee.
Yeah. I think Strath was like, if you want a really nice, fun golf round that isn't going to challenge you too much, and you want to go and have that fun, casual, enjoyable golf round in St Andrews, you go for the Strath. If you want to take that up a notch and you want to have some slightly more intricate holes, like a little bit more going on, a little bit more thinking to do, a little bit more of a challenge and some cool views, that's where the step up to the Eden comes in. Next course, there is one course that I'm gonna have to, because I haven't played it. I played a few holes. Should we talk about the Dukes?
Let's chat about the Dukes, yeah. I think that's kind of the natural progression. We'll chat about the Dukes. So this is one that I believe is actually changing to become part of the St Andrews Links Trust in the future.
I will be able to play it.
So with our Links tickets, we will be able to play the Dukes a lot more, and you will be able to experience it for the first time.
I've played a couple holes. I have played a few holes. I have played a few holes, but not a full round. So I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to check the green fee. Tell me about the Dukes. Try sell it to me.
Right. So the Dukes is up on the hill. It's a little bit out of St Andrews. It's maybe about a 4 or 5 mile drive from St Andrews. It's less than 10 minutes from the middle of town. So very, very local to us. Obviously, because it's inland, it's not a links golf course. So it will be operated by the St Andrews Links Trust, but it's not going to be your typical links course. It's more of a parkland course, but it is a championship true layout because it's hosted big events in the past. It hosted the Scottish Men's Amateur a few years ago, and
didn't know that.
Yeah, so it hosted that just around COVID times. It's hosted a few big events in the past. It hosts pro events as well, and it kind of has 2 9-hole loops, which is going to be really cool for us because we'll go up there and play 9 holes if we want to in the evenings.
It has a lovely clubhouse. I can tell you that.
It has some of the best views that we're going to chat about because you are basically up at the top of the hill above St Andrews, and you can look down into town, see some of the golf courses, see the sea, see all the iconic buildings, and it's just such a nice view from up there.
Yeah.
And the golf course is actually very, very good as well. So when I've been there in the past, it has struggled with drainage because obviously it's a little bit further up the hill. It's not a links course, it's not sand-based, but they spent a lot of money recently trying to upgrade the drainage systems. And from what I've heard, I haven't played it in about 2 years, but from what I've heard, it's worked really well and it is really, really good. So I think I'm very excited to go back and play it next time.
Do you know when we actually will have access to that?
I don't believe it's been announced yet, but it was announced that there was advanced talks for the Links Trust to lease it, and that's public knowledge.
Yeah, that's not like...
It's not a CG goal. It's not a Greens and Scenes exclusive.
No. So that hopefully is something that we will be able to go and play and show you guys, which would be really exciting. Some of the holes I played that one hole where you just you're at like the highest point and then there's an opening in the trees and you just see the town in the background, and it is so cool. That's also maybe just something to mention for the Strath, the Eden, the Jubilee and the new course. They're all on that plot of land that when you get out to the edge, when you're getting towards kind of like, depends which course you're on, but as you're getting like further and further out towards the estuary, you just get this like insane view. It's the same as the view that you get as you're coming up the old course, and it's so nice. And it's just that we're always like, oh, we're lucky.
We are very lucky. And the Dukes, you see all of those courses down there, which I think is really cool, and it ties in very nicely to like what we're discussing today about, you know, potential things that you'd want to look for in a golf course, and like the things that we're looking for in St Andrews golf courses, because the Dukes, on a nice day where you can see for miles there, and it's so beautiful. And actually the golf course doesn't let it down at all. The golf course is very, very good and is always in really nice condition.
You've spilt your coffee down your top.
Did I just do that? Can't be trusted.
No, just keep your hands there. What I felt playing the few holes that I played at the Dukes, I thought it was quite like a refreshing change. It is not like the St Andrews Links courses, so it kind of depends what you're coming for. If you want the like true links golf experience, no, you're not really gonna get that. But when I was there and I played those few holes, I was like, wow, I really do want to play a full round here, because it's just a little bit different. And also, like, the thing about the St Andrews Links courses, they do feel They have clubhouses. So the New and the Jubilee, they share a clubhouse. The Eden and the Strath, and I guess the Balgove they share a clubhouse. There isn't a clubhouse for the Old. I guess that's the RNA, which you can't go in. But it kind of feels a little bit turn up, play around, maybe go for a drink in the clubhouse, but it's not actually your clubhouse, it's just the building. Whereas you get more of the experience of turning up to a club. You're going to play a golf club.
Yeah.
Whereas in St Andrews, on the St Andrews Links courses, you are playing the golf course. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. You arrive at the Duke's and it's all very nice. It's got a lovely little entrance to the clubhouse. You walk through the doors and there's always somebody on the door who's like, hello, welcome, welcome to St Andrews, welcome to the Duke's course, hope you enjoy, let me take your bag, this, that, and that. And it feels very, very nice. And
this ties into what I was about to say. So interestingly, with the green fees, it's a little bit of a different situation. You probably could do it without the buggy and whatnot, but straight away on the website for the green fee section, it says from April 2025 onwards, enjoy our all-inclusive golf. So within the price, you include green fee, buggy, and the halfway house after 9 holes, which I think is interesting. How much do you think you would pay for that in peak season?
I think I'm going to say a number that's less than what is advertised. I think it might be around 150.
It's 220. That's not as saying it's not worth the green fee. Don't come at us. Don't come at us. We love all the St Andrews courses and we're just talking you through them. But one of the things about them is they just are inflated in price. They just are, because it's kind of just this area, because it gets so much attraction. The prices just go up and up and up and up.
I think that £220, yes, that's for your whole day as well, which is which is fine, because you've got your buggy, which would be £50, £60
at
a golf course. Then you've got halfway house, which might be £20, £30.
So actually, the number that you gave is closer to just the green fee on its own.
Yeah, and I think the golf course is really good and it's also really hilly, so having that buggy is actually quite important, because it is a really tricky walk. It is a very nice course and I'm very, very excited to play there once our links ticket includes that. For value for money wise, I think the ones that we've maybe spoken about already represent better value for money than that £220.
Depends the experience that you're going for, because if you're going for the experience of you want to play at a club and it's just got that little bit more, you're made to feel very important, I would say there.
Yeah.
Whereas because there isn't that same approach to it, there isn't the same, there isn't maybe a pro, you go to a golf club and you meet the pro and it's, I don't know, it's just the vibes of it are slightly different at the Dukes, I would say. So it depends what you're looking for. I think there's a lot of value in what they offer in terms of, it is just different. It's a completely different experience to the St Andrews courses, but you're still playing in St Andrews, you get the cool view. It's going to be taken in to the links, or we think it is. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Absolutely.
Maybe sticking on the theme of golf courses that actually aren't part of the St Andrews links and are not in discussions to be part of St Andrews links, we've got the 2 Fairmont courses. Now, do you know the green fees of these off by heart?
I do.
Okay, fair enough then.
Yeah.
Put my phone away. So,
will we start with the green fees, or will we chat about the courses for a little bit?
Tell me the green fees, because just as not that we're going to pit them against the Dukes. None of this is meant to be putting 2 courses against each other or anything like that. It's just discussing each course and why you might want to play it. Tell me the green fees.
So in the summer, it's £170 for your rack rate green fee. Both courses are exactly the same. And if you live in Scotland, you get it for £100 during the summer.
I don't know if the Dukes offers a Scottish. They probably do. I don't know.
So both courses have the same green fee. Now we've got the Kittocks course and the Torrance course. Both are a little bit different.
I was expecting the Kittocks to be more expensive.
Interesting. I think they are on an equal tier green fee wise, so that people don't crowd to one and don't play the other, because obviously at a 36-hole property, normally there'd maybe be one course that's better than the other, but at the Fairmont, they stick the green fee the same for both courses to try and just make sure that play is even, and then the condition of both the courses kind of stays the same.
So the Torrance golf course, that's not me saying the Kittocks course is better. Basically, the reason that I thought the Kittocks course was going to be more expensive. The Kittocks course has the views. It has some insane views. Now, if we were to break them up into like 9-hole loops, the front 9 at the Torrance is my favourite, but the back 9 at the Torrance is my least favourite. Whereas like the both 9s at the Kittocks are sandwiched in between those. So then for me, I kind of think of it as like the Kittocks is maybe the better one, but then I would, or if I was given 9 holes to play, I would go and play 9 holes on the Torrance, which is why if you watch our YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of videos filmed on the front 9 of the Torrance.
Yeah, because that is our favourite 9 holes up there at the Fairmont. Yeah. They're fantastic. There's a variety of holes there. And yeah, I think you've put it quite nicely. I think when somebody asks me, I've had a few people kind of ask me which course to kind of play at the Fairmont, that kind of thing. It's always, if you want views, go to the Kittocks, but the Torrance is probably a better golf course. And that's been justified by the events that have been hosted by the Torrance course. Like last year, you had the Scottish Amateur Match Play that was co-hosted with one of the other courses that we're going to talk about, the Castle course. And it's also had the Hero Open in the past. It's had the International Series there. It's had a variety of professional and amateur events in the past. Unfortunately, none of them have really gone to the Kittocks course. And they've mostly been concentrated onto the Torrance. And I think the reason for that is
the light went out.
The light.
We've not been good with the lighting on the podcast.
I think the reason they haven't gone to the Kittocks is because there are a few holes that are a little bit quirky on the Kittocks. Now for us, if we're going to play a golf course, that's exactly what we're looking for. And we're looking for views in a golf course, which is what you get at the Kittocks. So often, if it's maybe somebody who's here on holiday, I would totally recommend going to the Kittocks course. But if you're maybe a better golfer looking for a challenge or like trying to prepare for an event.
But you also want like a scoreable golf course, that's the Torrance.
It is, yeah.
Because I think that the Torrance is easier than the Kittocks.
I think it's easier to score on because there are those quirky holes on the Kittocks.
It's not easy.
It's easier. They can really catch you out and cause a bit of a stumbling block in your round if you're just not exactly sure where you're hitting to.
Yeah. I mean, we used to play a lot of golf at the Fairmont at uni. And one of the things about the Fairmont is it's very exposed, regardless of which course you're playing. The Kittocks can get more exposed because obviously, you know, by the water, you get the views, but you also get the wind coming in. Whereas the Torrance is like a little bit more inland on some of the holes, not all of them. And both the Fairmont courses in my mind were always just hard. Like I always just thought they were really brutal and it was like almost impossible to score well. But because we obviously weren't at uni in the summer, so we always played our uni events like off season. And I just found them really hard. I've since we've been playing there, not at uni, and we get to choose when we go and play, I've found like a big appreciation for the two golf courses. For us as well, like we get to play them not off mats in the winter season, so that's really nice. It is, again, just a different experience to the St Andrews Links courses. I do kind of get the vibes with them that it is like a golf course next to a hotel, if that makes sense.
Yes, so it is 2 golf courses next to the hotel. They're not links golf courses either. They're built on clay. There's not really any sandy soil or anything.
They're trying to be links courses though.
People have the opinion that they are links courses, but when you get out there, the fairways are a little bit softer. It's built on clay. The drainage isn't as perfect as a normal links course would be, but it does have that kind of links scenery in that there are some dunes that have been built there and have been manufactured when the course was designed and when it was opened. It gives the impression that it's a links course, but it's not. It's just by the sea, and it is a kind of parkland style golf course.
It feels like a links course, but it has parkland vibes.
Correct.
It's a weird one. It's hard to describe. I have come to really, really love the Fairmont, and I think that why you would choose to go and play the Fairmont, first of all, staying at the Fairmont Like if you are looking for kind of like a really premium hotel experience, the options that you're going to be looking at are like the Old Course, the Russocks, all the other hotels that the Old Course owns. And then you've got the Fairmont as well. And with the Fairmont, like there's a lovely spa. I assume that if you stay at the Fairmont, you can maybe get a little bit of a discount on the green fees.
I think so, yeah. I think in the past, they probably 10 or 20% off the green fees for hotel residents.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is, so don't quote us on that. But, you know, the Fairmont is a 5-star hotel. You've got very good service there, and it just has that kind of like feel to it. I'm not saying that it's like a resorty course, because I don't really enjoy resort courses, but I enjoy the Fairmont. But you get the vibes of like, you're going to go and you're going to get looked after.
It's 2 very difficult resort golf courses, I think. And the Torrance is slightly elevated in that it is kept to very championship kind of specification, and it plays very, very difficult in the summer as well. Both of them do. The rough grows up, the wind gets up, and it's a very, very difficult test of golf.
We will also say that Cam currently is an employee of Fairmont, so we are biased. However, Cam is also leaving the Fairmont, so we could say whatever we wanted about the Fairmont, and yet we're still speaking positively about it. So, you know.
Fairmont is absolutely fantastic. Like, the 2 golf courses are stunning. The views over St Andrews are amazing. And actually, value for money wise, for Scottish residents who are visiting St Andrews, I know that probably the bulk of the people listening to this podcast or who are watching it are going to be living in Scotland, because we just chat about Scottish golf. But it offers really, really good value for money for Scottish residents. So, for example, during the winter season, it's only £50, and it's full summer conditions, full tees, full greens. And for £50, like, you're not getting really a better deal anywhere, I would say.
It's just colder. Like, the condition of the course will be very, very similar in the winter to the summer.
It will.
Gets blooming cold is the only thing. So if you don't mind playing cold golf courses, then you'll be fine. The other thing about the Fairmont, it has an insane breakfast. If you're staying at the Fairmont and if you're staying somewhere and you're looking for somewhere with a good breakfast, you are going to struggle to find a better breakfast than the Fairmont.
Yeah. As a good, like, stay and play package.
Yeah, very good.
Fairmont with the 2 golf courses, you could have such a cool weekend in St Andrews staying there.
4 golf courses left. We've yapped for 45 minutes, so we will
we'll get through these last 4.
Let's talk about... She's shot under par on the Jubilee now, so she likes the Jubilee a little bit more. I've not been a Jubilee hater. I have not been a Jubilee promoter. I have always said to people, when it comes to the Jubilee course in St Andrews, it's great. It's a challenge. It gives you the authentic St Andrews Links experience, but I avoid it because it's blooming hard and I usually lose a lot of golf balls. Now, playing today, actually, maybe it was just because I actually had control of the golf ball and I actually had a workable swing, which I maybe didn't have a year or so ago. It didn't seem as tight. It seemed a lot wider. I think they maybe have cut down a little bit of the rough, which is nice, cut down a few of the gorse bushes.
Yeah, I think in the past few years, we haven't played the Jubilee so much because it's always been seen as a really, really challenging course. And actually, I think they maybe have taken that as like feedback, like not just us, but maybe some other people have tended to go towards other courses like the Eden or the New or other courses like that. And I think it seems like there's a lot less gorse on the Jubilee. It's a little bit more open off the tee. It looks a bit more enticing and scoreable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is such a nice course, and it feels like a traditional links golf club that you might get somewhere else.
I think you go play at the Jubilee, you will come off that golf round feeling as though you had the experience of playing a golf course in St Andrews. I think that is the golf course that if you've not been to St Andrews and you're imagining maybe what it's like, that is probably the layout and the conditions and the level of difficulty and the normal kind of weather conditions usually on that golf course, because it is a bit more exposed. That is what you would be imagining. Yeah,
I think my one criticism potentially with like other St Andrews golf courses is that they're surrounded by other golf courses and it feels like you're a bit penned in by other courses.
Yeah.
But the Jubilee is kind of isolated out on its own side. It's sectioned by one side by the beach, and then the other side by kind of steep dunes. And you never really see another golf course other than the 7th hole, the 7th green, you kind of border the new course. But for the entire rest of the golf course, you almost feel like you're totally separated.
That's true, actually.
So it does kind of give that vibe of, oh, I'm just like at an 18-hole golf course, kind of out on its own a little bit. It's a bit more peaceful, and I won't say relaxing because it's very tough. And anyone who knows about golf is like, golf can be relaxing, but a tough golf course usually isn't too relaxing. But the Dube is kind of peaceful. It's not isolated as such.
Yeah.
But it's kind of on its own little bit of land, which I quite like.
Yeah. I mean, I know earlier it might have sounded like I was being negative about the 2 clubhouses in St Andrews. It's not that they're... Cameron's reshuffling himself. It's not that they're like bad clubhouses at all. It's just not the same vibe as when you go to like a golf club house.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Something I will say about like the Jubilee is that I really like the Old Tom Morris like bar and grill place. Has really, really good food. That has like good food, like dinner time food. And then the Eden Clubhouse has really like Eden Clubhouse, if you want like a nice soup and sandwiches and a little scone. So that like that's where we will walk to the Eden Clubhouse just to get soup. And then the Old Tom Morris bar and grill, that is great for like breakfasts and like actual like food like bigger meals. Side note, but yeah, it means that you can go and play the Jubilee and then like go and have like a really nice meal and things like that, which is really nice. I have a new appreciation for the Jubilee because I feel like I've cracked the code on the Jubilee now. I
also think in terms of us looking forward to tournaments this year, the Jubilee is quite an important one. I think we should go and play there a lot more because in my opinion, it's probably out of the 7 courses that St Andrews own and operate, I would say the Jubilee is kind of ranked 1 or 2 in terms of the difficulty.
I agree. And I just think so why you would choose to play the Jubilee is if you're happy to accept the challenge and you want the authentic experience. I know that everybody is going to assume that the authentic experience is playing the old course, but I actually think the Jubilee has something about it that makes you feel as though you come off your golf round and you're like, yes, that was it. That was the experience I was looking for. That's the vibes it gives.
Yeah, there's some very unique holes as well that have quite a lot of character. Like I'm thinking about the types of holes like the 8th where you play kind of through a section of dunes. It's like quite a short par 4 into like a little bowl green. I'm thinking of like the 15th where it's a short par 4 up to like an elevated green with massive dunes around it.
They're all different.
Yeah.
Like you don't play 2 holes in a row that are similar, whereas like somewhere like the Torrance, the reason I don't like the back 9 at the Torrance is because it is just a little bit samey.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know,
the Jubilee has just some very stunning scenic holes that I think any level of golfer could appreciate. And I think it's probably geared towards the better player, is what I would say.
What do you think the Jubilee green fee is in the middle of summer?
I think it'll be around about £160.
150 in the middle of summer.
I think that's pretty good value.
I think because for whatever reason, it has that like, yes, that is the St Andrews Links experience, because you come off and you will feel, almost regardless of how you played, if you go into it knowing it's going to be a challenge, but knowing that you're going to get that experience, you'll feel very satisfied from it. That's kind of how I feel about it. We are getting to the point now, looking at the green fees, they're just going to go up and up and up. I'm sorry, they are. We didn't choose the green fees. Okay, just... Yeah, £150 in the middle of summer, £70 in the low season, and then like 100 to 105 in the shoulder season. So yeah, it's expensive. I think I've said to people before, like, I love the Jubilee, but it's very, very, very tough. But
you shot under par today, so now we have a newfound belief that we can play the Jube.
Interesting. Is that a glitch or is that actual...
What's that?
What golf course do you think is the same green fee as the Jubilee?
New.
Yeah, exactly the same green fee.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they use the same clubhouse.
True.
And I would say it's almost the same situation as the Kittocks Torrance debate that we just had, where obviously they're 2 very different golf courses, but in order to make sure that it's not just visitors going to play one over the other. I think the green fees are kept the same to try and split the play over the two courses.
I really enjoy the new. I think it's easier than the Jubilee.
It's very wide off the tee.
Yes.
So I think it gives the potential illusion that it is easier. And if you're someone who maybe can't or doesn't hit it like as straight as you could do, the new is probably the one to go for, and you can still shoot very good scores on it. Whereas the Jubilee, if you're offline, you'll just start losing golf balls.
Once you get past the first like 6 holes on the new, it's easier. I'll always have it in my mind that like I might drop a few shots on the first few holes and then I can start like recovering from that a little bit. I really enjoy playing the new. I think the new and the Jube are quite different, which I think is why I just didn't expect them to be the same green fee. Because with the Jubilee, you're kind of like boxed in a little bit in that you stand on the tee and you can kind of see the hole out in front of you, and that is all you're experiencing. Whereas on the new, there's golfers everywhere. There's golf holes everywhere. And it very much just feels like, you know, you have that kind of like mishmash from the 10th where it's just like a patch of ground and you play here, 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 and then there's some more holes here.
Yeah.
And that's not a negative. It's just different to the experience of the Jubilee.
Yeah, you'll have golfers to your left playing a hole on the old course. You'll maybe have golfers to your right playing a hole on the back 9 of the new course. And there's just people, if you play it at a busy time, the new course, there are just people everywhere, and it can feel a little bit claustrophobic. I think it is a very, very good golf course, and it has a lot of character to it in terms of like shared fairways, shared greens. In many ways, it has a lot of similarities to the old course, which makes complete sense because it is just across like a little kind of path from the old course. So it's built on very similar ground to the old course. So
you follow it for a few holes. Like as you're going out towards the 6th, you're playing alongside the old course, which I think is why a lot of people like to go and play that. At some point, we will talk about like booking tee times. We knew this was going to be a long podcast anyway, because there's so much to kind of like talk about here. So we weren't going to go into that. But basically, one of the things with the new course is that you don't book in advance tee time. You just kind of turn up, and then it's kind of like on the day, you just kind of go out in order, basically. And so because of that, for a while, almost in my mind, it was the backup golf course. It was like, if you didn't get on the old course, you didn't get in the ballot, you just turn up on the new course and you'd get out eventually. If you were struggling to find a tee time on any other golf course, you know that eventually, if you stood at the if you stood on the new course and you stood there for long enough, you would get out. And so incorrectly in my mind, it's seen as the backup. But then every single time I play it, I'm like, yeah, this is not the backup course. I enjoy this golf course. I enjoy it because you get the St Andrews experience. You get that kind of experience. It's just like the same vibe that I get from the Jubilee, but it is easier, or I think it's easier.
I agree with you. I think some of the greens can be a little bit trickier, but put together as a golf course, I think it is easier than the Jubilee. It does have some of the hardest par 3s in St Andrews, though.
That's true. It has long par 3s. Quite often, like when the wind blows and it's into wind on these par 3s, I'm hitting my driver.
Yeah,
I'm not always reaching.
I'll be like 2 or 3 iron into like a couple of those par 3s. It's the 9th hole, you play along the coastline. It's like 215 yards. You have the 17th hole that's about the same distance, about 220-ish. And it's like there's 2 really long par 3s on that golf course that could easily be like a par 4 on one of the other courses.
Yeah, I think the reason for going to play the new course would be if you want that same vibe that you get from the Jubilee, but you don't want the like ultra difficulty factor that you get on the Jubilee. It is still difficult, but what I would say is, say for example, like somebody like my mum, she doesn't like feeling claustrophobic on a golf course. I don't like feeling claustrophobic on a golf course, but I've got used to it. The new course is claustrophobic in the sense that you've got to accept that people are going to be hitting golf balls at you because the holes are so close. You also most of the times that you play the new, you get to holes like the 9th, and you'll have a couple group, like you'll be waiting, and then by the time you're teeing off, like the group behind is stood on the tee waiting with you. And so if you get maybe like a little bit nervous, the new maybe isn't great for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're looking for that kind of golf club experience, maybe not with golfers everywhere on the course, and you maybe want, you know, fairways that are not shared, and you just want like your own fairway, you want your own space to play golf, maybe one of the courses that we've already spoken about, potentially the Jubilee, potentially one of the Fairmont courses, potentially the Dukes even, they're at similar price points in terms of green fees.
Yes.
And you have much more of your own space, and you have a bit more control, and you know that someone's not going to scream 4 in the middle of your backswing or something like that. And that's a slight drawback on the new course, but altogether it is a very, very nice golf course.
And like the new course is probably one of the ones that I would like heavily recommend to people. I just love playing it. I think it's really fun. I like it.
I also used to spray the ball everywhere. So I used to love playing the new course because it would make you feel good about your game. You could hit it 2 fairways to the right, be absolutely fine, and still make a birdie from there. And that's what I used to do. That's how I used to play golf. But now I think I've maybe evolved a little bit through my coaching. I hit it a lot straighter. And so like so the Jubilee is a bit of a nicer golf course for my game.
Coming on to a very different golf course, the Castle course. The Castle course is ever so slightly more expensive. It is £180 in the middle of summer, 85 in the low season, and then 120, 125 in shoulder season. Castle course is very different. The Castle golf course, I love it. I hate playing it with a scorecard in my hand. Will not be signing up to do that anytime soon. But I really enjoy it as long as I am going in with the mind frame of like, this is crazy golf on a full 18-hole golf scale.
It is. It's one of those golf courses that is just so unique that I think you almost have to play it if you're a fan of like unique golf holes, a bit of character in there, stunning views. Like the Castle course just ticks all of those boxes. If you're somebody who complains about slopes on greens or something like that, you're not going to enjoy the Castle. It's not the golf course for you. Go and play one of the traditional courses in town or one of the other courses that we discussed, because you need to be able to embrace a bit of like the unknown about where the ball is going to bounce to. You might have a big false front on the green and your ball chases 50 yards back towards you. That's the kind of thing that happens on the Castle. It's
not even the greens either. Like the fairways have just huge slopes everywhere. And so it feels like you don't have, you know, people say how like in golf, you know, you can only control what you can control, You control even less at the Castle course. Like there's a lot just going off everywhere.
It's a very good golf course to like test your patience, because you get some very strange bounces, but if you are able to play with that and have a bit of control, and you know kind of course management, the slopes that you want to kind of target to try and run your ball towards the pins, that kind of thing, it's a brilliant course for that, because it rewards a bit of kind of course management and a bit of thought about your shots. You know, you could hit chips that play up one side of the green and then roll down to the other, and you can play those sorts of shots, and I really enjoy that kind of golf. So I love playing the Castle every once in a while.
Yeah, the Castle is the type of golf course where you could be 5 foot away from the pin, and you could choose to hit like your 5-footer to the pin. Like if the flag is here and you're 5 foot away, you could go like that, or you could go up a big hill and have it come back down again, which Cam likes to do for fun every so often. And it's fun. It is a fun golf course. But then if you're someone who, the thing about that golf course is you can hit a good shot and get penalized just by having a little bad bounce, just slightly hitting the wrong bit. You could hit like a little scuffler in the wrong direction and then have the slope just bring it in. Which hole is the par 5 with the water in front of it on the first few holes? You play 1, 2, it's like the 4th, isn't it?
Yes, it's the 4th.
That is one of the hardest greens, hardest approach shot. Depends where they put the pin. There's like that golf course, it feels a little bit like Greenkeeper's Revenge, just like for the normal pins, because it's just huge slopes. And then obviously like when it's windy and when it's like fast, and the ball just can go for miles. And You just got to go and have like a little bit of fun there. I think the castle course also feels quite different because it's out of town. You get some incredible views. You're playing alongside the water for a lot of it. You can see back into town. You see the pier, you see St Andrews. It's beautiful. The clubhouse is lovely. And so you can just sit. If you're going to go play the castle course, you want to like bring a book and sit and drink coffee and just look out.
It is amazing, that clubhouse. It is so nice just to sit, have a drink before or after your round. And really, to sum it up, you need to be able to like embrace the creativity in golf to be able to enjoy the castle course. And if you're not able to do that, it's probably not the course for you.
That's a very good summary. All right, coming on to the old course. I almost feel like this is the one we need to say the least about.
It speaks for itself, doesn't it?
And like, people have very strong opinions on this. When we like, as soon as we say to anybody, oh, we live in St Andrews, they'll either be like, oh, that's insane, like you get to play the old course, that's so cool. Or they'll immediately just be like, well, actually, if you picked up the old course and you put it anywhere else in the world, no one would play it because it's a really bad design and it's boring and whatever. And I don't know, I think that people have this weird like beef with the old course. Like, people are either completely idolize it or they have this weird beef about it. I don't think it's fair to say if you pick it up and put it somewhere, like nobody would play it, because in its own right, it is a quirky golf course, but subtly. Like, it doesn't have mega quirks like somewhere like the Castle course or like, you know, Glen Cruton's a really quirky golf course.
Yeah.
It still has some weird quirks to it. They're just very subtle. And I think people miss them.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of these golf courses, the more and more you play it, the more you begin to love it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
You play it once and you maybe think, oh, the views and stuff of town are cool, but like the rest of the course maybe isn't as cool. But over time, you begin to understand why bunkers are in certain places, the different pin positions that they can make to make a hole play completely differently, because having such big greens, you know, you can play it from different angles and it can play hard one day, easy the next day. And that's the intricacy of the golf of the old course, is that it plays so different every time you're there. And you can, once you've played it maybe 100 times, you love it even more than you did the first time.
And like, how many golf courses are there out there that have like that many shared greens, that many huge kind of sloping greens that have like the little loop when you get round to like the 7th hole and then everything starts kind of crossing over. You have the really nice views, like you said, of looking back into town, and then you kind of get up towards the estuary as well, because you get up towards the same bit on the Eden course. And then you have like the 17th where you're hitting over a building. And I do think there's a lot going on, and I think people try to find faults with the old course. The argument of saying, oh, like if you moved it somewhere else, like that doesn't matter because it's not moved somewhere else, it's here. It has the history, and that's the point about it, is that it has the history. It's not going to be like a new golf course, because it's not, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah, the whole selling point of the old course is A, it's a great golf course, and B, the history that has taken place on that stretch of land, on that golf course, in terms of the development of golf, the history of the Open Championship, all of this, it just makes it such a special place. I can see you've got the green fees up there. You can't put a price on how somewhere like that makes you feel, because it's so special. It's so worth visiting just to like feel closer to the game of golf. And if you're somebody who loves golf, you just have to go and play there, or have to see it once in your life to like really understand and like appreciate the history of the game, I think.
And I think it is that history. Like, a lot of golf courses, they don't play how they played once upon a time. You know, like a lot of golf courses, they'll change a hole, they'll redesign a hole, they'll take a hole out completely and redo it. They'll change things. And so golf courses evolve over time. I get people telling me like, oh, I've played the old course, I thought it was a little bit boring, like they could have changed this and they could have done this. And it's just like, why would they change it? Like, unless they have to, why would you change it? That's the whole point, is that it's old. It's the old course. And I sometimes feel like I'm butting heads with people because people do try and find faults with it. There's something really special about it because it's historic, and that's the whole point, is they've kept it like that. I don't know, maybe I don't need to say all this because I'm sure everybody has their own thoughts about the old course, you know. The green fee in summer is £340, which is just obviously like ridiculous. That's so much money. It's a lot of money. But then I guess it's just the thing of like, they can charge it because people will pay it because it's in high demand. It's the unfortunate truth about something that's in demand. It's going to cost money. And even if you were coming in the low season, like £160, we post videos of like playing off mats and like people were like, oh, you know, if you're paying £160, yes, you get to play the old course, but like you got to play it from a mat. Interestingly, it's the same price for under 16s.
That is interesting.
Whereas all the other golf courses have a discounted amount for the under 16s.
I guess they're doing that because the spots are so limited that they could fill every space in that tee sheet every single day of the year. And so they don't need to offer any concessions.
Yeah. And I mean, it's an interesting one because like we've both played it a lot of times. And I think we feel really grateful for that. And we feel every time we play it, it feels special. The novelty doesn't rub off. I think that's like part of it, you know?
It's just a very special place, and I feel very fortunate to have gone down the stretch there so many times with so many amazing friends, so many amazing people, my family, like you. Like, we've had some incredible rounds of golf on there, and it feels like kind of you've got your own little bit of history on that course that has so much history in the grand scheme of golf. When you look at the green fee, obviously £340 is a huge amount of money to pay for a golf course. But when you think about all of the other championship links that are in Scotland that have hosted Opens, I would say that that is not far off the average of those golf courses. And it is just a factor of popularity of Scottish golf that green fees have gone up substantially in the last few years. And the old course is just part of that.
That is true. Thank you guys so much for listening. Long podcast, but obviously there was a lot to discuss there. I hope you found that helpful. We'd love to know your thoughts on any of the courses, if you played any of them, what you think, if you agree with us, if you disagree with us.
Absolutely. There's such a variety of courses out there, and hopefully you've learned maybe a little bit about each one and can take that into a trip that you might have coming up to St Andrews in the future.
And if you are planning a trip, let us know. Let us know which golf courses you're going to be playing, and hopefully you will tune in for another podcast sometime soon.